Hey, afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fishbowl. So my name is Greg Call. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, which is great. First and foremost, I'm a Marine veteran. We got any other Marines here in the audience today? All right, always the most obnoxious ones. But secondly, I'm super proud to be also part of the Amazon family here. And also super proud and honored and privileged today to introduce two fellow veterans, as well as two great friends of mine, to discuss the newly released book, 8 Seconds of Courage. When I was reading and reflecting on this book, and also on the moderator today and our special guests, I kept coming back to a simple mantra that I think many of you have probably heard before. 5 simple words. If not me, then who? For me, the impact of those simple words really hit home when I learned the story of Marine Lieutenant Travis Mannion, who said those words to his family before he deployed on his second deployment to Iraq. Travis was killed in action on that deployment and didn't return to his family, but his legacy lives on. Travis's "if not me, then who" legacy lives on through the examples of our moderator and our special guest today. Sean Kelly is currently the global head of talent acquisition for Amazon operations. He's a proud sailor and graduate of the United States Naval Academy. In the Navy, he served 6 years as a submarine supply corps officer. Following his service, he took on leadership roles at Starbucks and Microsoft before joining our family here at Amazon. Living that "if not me, then who" mantra, he's a nationally recognized advocate for veteran hiring and military spouse hiring programs. At Microsoft, he helped build the Microsoft Systems and Software Academy, which has helped hundreds of direct transitioning military develop technical skills, as well as gain opportunities into tech companies. And here at Amazon, he's our fearless leader as we march towards hiring 25,000 military veterans and military spouses. And we're also honored today to welcome our special guest, the author of 8 Seconds of Courage, Congressional Medal of Honor recipient, Flo Groberg. As you will hear, Flo came as an immigrant to this country, and out of a sense of duty, joined the Army following his graduation from the University of Maryland. As part of the 4th Infantry Division, Flo deployed twice to Afghanistan. In that second deployment, on patrol, Flo had his "if not me, then who" moment. And I want to take just a second here to read an excerpt from part of his Medal of Honor citation. Groberg also spotted a lone individual near the left side of the formation, walking backwards in the direction of the patrol. The individual did not cause immediate alarm, as there were other local civilians in the area. However, when the individual made an abrupt turn towards the formation, Groberg rushed the suspect and shoved him away from the patrol. Groberg then immediately confirmed the individual was wearing a suicide vest. And with the help of Sergeant Andrew Mahoney, grabbed the suicide bomber, physically driving him away from the formation and down to the ground. While on the ground, the bomber's explosive vest detonated. The explosion caused a second suicide bomber, who remained hidden behind a small structure near the road, to detonate his vest prematurely. Most of the blasts of the second bomber's suicide vest went straight into a building adjacent to the patrol. Groberg's actions disrupted both bombers from detonating as planned, saving the majority of lives he was charged with protecting. As President Obama stated while presenting the Medal of Honor to Flo, on his worst day, he was his best. So let's give a warm welcome to our moderator and our special guest today, Sean Kelly, and Medal of Honor recipient, Flo Groberg.
Wow. All right, man, I'd be lying to you if I wasn't a little bit nervous to be in the presence of a national hero, but also somebody who really embodies all of the things that are great about those who serve this country. And I'll look forward to the conversation today to talk about your book, more about your story. I read your book, I highlighted it, I studied it.
Wow. It's short.
Yeah, man, I'm a slow reader. I always have been.
Me too.
But it's a pleasure to have you here with the Amazon community. The Warriors, the Amazon Warriors are proud to serve after wearing the uniform and to get to know you today. So first of all, I'm curious, I'm sure there's lots of opportunities to tell your story, but a little bit about how the writing of the book came together. What was the moment, and how did the process start?
I'll be honest with you, I never saw myself as an author. And so when the co-author, Tom Saleo, called me and he talked to me about Brothers Forever, he talked to me about Fire My Eyes, Brothers Forever, talking about Travis Mannion and his buddy. He said, hey, you have a great story, I've heard you speak, and I'd love an opportunity to get with you and talk to you about writing a book. And I dismissed him at first because the idea of writing a book just sounded so ridiculous to me. I got out of English 101 as quickly as possible. And then in the military, we're not known to be the best writers. That's why we speak in a very specific language that people can't understand. So the idea of writing a book really wasn't so enticing for me. But Carson, my fiance, said, let's have a conversation. It can't hurt. And he came to DC and we talked, and he talked about the fact that this was a really great opportunity for me to highlight my brothers who didn't come home, to highlight the folks, the men and women I served with, and to really tell a story from a specific perspective, from an immigrant as well, about overcoming adversity and really taking advantage of opportunities that are presented in front of you. So I listened to him and we started the process, and it was a heck of a journey.
Yeah. Did you have to write a bunch of drafts and?
So originally, the way we started it was he would interview me and he would write it. And I'll tell you one thing, that I didn't like that, because he would write something. He's a very talented writer. But when it's your story and it's so personal, it's an impossibility for someone else to actually put the words that actually make sense to you. And so I would get really frustrated. And if you know me, Greg probably knows this about me. When things don't go my way, and it's something I'm so passionate about, then I get a little frustrated and I want to fix it. And so thankfully Carson was around to be my buffer, and we decided instead what I would do is I would write it. And I would send it to him, and he would just kind of do what authors do and real authors, kind of add a little flair to it and make sure it makes sense and it flows through. And then Carson would then take a stab at it as a third person, and she would make sure that it's my voice because she knows me better than anyone else in the world. And guess what? I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I finished the book, I was like, well, it's okay, I guess. When you write your own stuff, you're never satisfied with it, but it's been a blessing because I've had a lot of people come back to me and say, hey, I read this in a day, I read this in 2 days. I loved it. I love the way the story flows, and it really tells a story of what it's like to serve in this nation, but really most importantly, the true heroes who put on the uniform.
Yeah, I've read a pile of military history books and personal stories. I think your approach was very transparent. Vulnerable at times with some of your struggles and things. So, that's the part that really touched me. So some of the things I'm curious about are some of the more personal points of it. And at the start of the book, when you talk about growing up as a young boy and your uncle Abdu, and the story of just from the minute you were born, this connected chemistry and sort of his loss, how it deeply affected you. I'm just curious if you would share some of that, about your family history.
I think we all have that person in our lives. We're kids that you're automatically drawn to, and it might be your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, an aunt, an uncle, or grandfather, whoever it is, maybe your neighbor, I don't know, depending on where and how you grew up. Yeah. To me, that was my uncle, and he was born in 1972, so it's not like he was much older than me. He was 11 years old when I was born. So he was still young enough as I was growing up that I could almost relate to him, and I loved him so much. I was that annoying little rascal that was always following him and wanted to be near him when he was a teenager and growing up into a man. And what he did to me is that he embraced me and he took me everywhere. I was his world. And he used to say, you're my little Flo, and I loved him so much. And what he was a gentle soul, literally. He grew up as the ultimate, son and brother in his family, and he grew up in Algeria in North Africa, and what he wanted to do was be an imam. He wanted to preach a Muslim faith, and so he followed that path. And when I was barely 17, 18 years old, a terrorist organization called a GIA came into Algeria to try to take over the government and take over the culture. Literally, what we're witnessing with Al-Qaeda and then ISIS. And so when he saw the way they were representing his faith, obviously he was not happy about it. And he decided, after having a conversation with my grandfather, that he had a responsibility and duty not only for his country as an Algerian, but as for his faith and his God, that he needed to go out there and fight. And so this guy had never been with a woman, and he just put on a uniform as a young man, and he went and served his country against these terrorists. And he was killed on he was killed on February 6th, 1996. He was shot, he was beheaded, he was dismembered, and he was put in a box and sent back to my grandfather. And so I was 13 years old when I got the news, and I grew up with a father I love to death, one of my favorite person in the world, but he is very blunt, he's meant a few words. So he told me that as a 13-year-old what happened to my uncle, and that changed the course of my life.
Wow. Very moving.
It's, in hindsight, I look at it, that's just the reality of our world. We are sheltered here. We worry about, we look at news and we're like, wow, this is bad. And then the next commercial break and it's Kardashians, right? And it's just it's a reality, right? We just had, you look at Somalia, you look at what's going on in Egypt, you look at what's going on out there in the rest of the world, right? And you see that, we are very lucky to be living in this environment, in this world, and even to all our faults, we're not appreciated enough at times, because that was the life that they lived over there for, almost 8-9 years, and has never really recovered to an extent.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting as you think about what we learn. All veterans, that regardless whether you're a submariner or a ranger.
I don't know. Submarines is a different ballgame.
I know. Well, this is it though. So we all. Everyone, I know, it's so funny. So you hear an Army Ranger who's done some pretty amazing things, and they're like, oh, dude, I could never do a submarine. I'm like, I hate dirt. we sort of take on the pain that we can tolerate, I guess. I don't know what it is, but
there's a difference between hating dirt and the fact that you live in a world that is it's dirt, and then going into this machine, really far down water.
Yeah.
There's no escapes, right?
In
dirt, you
nights.
can do all sorts of things. We can ask Griff right there. Rangers, you jump out of airplanes, do all sorts of things. But man,
no way out. That's true.
Could write a whole book about that.
Well, there's this quote from I don't know if it's the Rangers that invented it, called "Embracing the Suck."
Either the Rangers or Marines.
Somebody, like just embrace your pain and work through it. And you talk a little bit about that in the book. And I mean, we recruit for a little bit of that attitude here at Amazon, right? We call grittiness, though. We want gritty and scrappy people who are going to stay optimistic when they're knocked down and get back up. And So, talk to me a little bit more about how that mentality helped you on deployment, and even more importantly, through your own recovery from, you had a long road back to full health. So, how's that mentality helped you, and some stories even?
I think embrace the suck is such a great way of defining what combat is all about. I always describe combat as 90%, I mean, it's not me, there's a lot of people who describe it this way, 90% boredom, 10% of ecstasy, right? Or adrenaline rush. But, when in hindsight, when you go back and you realize, you talk about your deployments, you talk about the good times, right? Oh man, remember when we did this and did that? But when you're in deployment, 90% of the time you're like, what the heck is going on? Man, this is dumb. This sucks. It's hot. Why am I carrying all this crap? You know what I mean? And next thing you know, whenever you least want someone to attack you is when they go all out. And you're kind of like, really, guys? Seriously? Right. And you have trucks that will break down. You get pinned down. No water for a couple of days, or the chow truck didn't show up, so you're eating MREs for the next month, or whatever it is, right? There's always a reason to just be pissed off. Yep. And there's and then again, and as infantrymen, this is what we do. We're very good at complaining. You could literally be in deployment with a beautiful sunny day and everything you ever want, pina coladas. We'd complain. Yeah, right. We'd figure a way. Be like, this is stupid. I don't know what this guy's thinking or what she's thinking. Yeah, they're not in my shoes right now, right? But reality is that we went through some pretty crappy times, and you have to embrace it. It's almost it's like this thing that I talk about life, and when I mentor these young soldiers or service members, where I have conversations about, life is full of adversity, and thank God for adversity. Yeah. Thank God for those moments that make life tough, because you get to learn and you get to appreciate from that. If everything was going perfectly, if we were the New York Yankees in the 90s, you know how boring that would be? I know we got a couple of Yankees fans here, but you know what? It sucked to be a Yankees fan. Why? Because every day, every season, you're expected to win. And so when you lost one game, everybody came down on you and you hated it. You can't even enjoy the game. If you're a Cubs fan, it's great, right? It's been awful forever. And then we win, we're celebrating. Now we're like the Yankees. We get pissed off if we don't win the World Series. Yeah. But it's just when we were in deployment, there were days the chapter Piss and Shit, talking about going out there and falling in a puddle of what's not water. And the guy's looking at me and said, sorry, sir, you're staying here. You're not getting back in the truck. And I'm yelling at him. Obviously, it's my truck, so I'm getting back in the truck. But you come back, and you're just, I was not happy at that moment. I was really, really angry, actually. Any Taliban would have been out there, or anybody around, it would have been the end of their day.
Off your game, at that point.
Because I literally so I'm not sure if I put this in a book. I got completely naked when I got back on.
No, you did not.
Yeah, okay, good.
Not that I remember.
Yeah. I got to Hanukkah Miracle, and the true story, and without getting too detailed, is I got so mad when I got back in base. I got completely naked, threw my clothing in a fire pit, and walked through the Tactical Operations Center, where my boss was there, Captain Conlon. And he looked at me naked. He's like, what is wrong with Groberg? And I said, we're all good to go. There was no enemy out there, and I'm going to go take a shower. And I just walked by, and first sergeant just looked at me. He's like, just let this guy go. I don't know what's wrong with him. He doesn't look good right now. We might have a psychologist, a psychiatrist, but it was one of those things. I hated Afghanistan that day. And the next day you wake up and you're like, dude, remember last night? Yeah. What happened? Man, fell in a pile of poop. All the way to here.
Too much.
But, and so there's a lot of those conversations. And the same thing, I learned something during my recovery at Walter Reed, which is probably the toughest moment in my life, was sitting in a hospital bed for a couple months and really having to digest and realize the reality of my world, that I lost 4 men on my patrol. And here I was living when I should be dead. And 4 families were missing a loved one. And really trying to find a positive in a negative situation. And so I went through some really dark times, and I completely understand why some folks really kind of lose hope and give up on life, because it's really easy to do so, specifically when you add in a cocktail of drugs or alcohol for some. And so to me, that was a very difficult time. But then, through the help of different folks, specifically Travis Mills, that you get to read in the book, and my family and other service members, I had an opportunity to really understand this whole concept of when it goes wrong, you have to really dig deep down and find one positive in a negative situation and focus on that positive. If not, then you're just going to drown. And I'm taking that lesson and I apply it to every single thing that I do in life. That's why I was just telling the story earlier, maybe to you too. No, I was telling this to Griff. With my fiance, I'm annoying. Like, fact. Like, I'm impossible to live with, and she's been doing it for 3.5 years, and she wants to do it for the rest of your life. She's crazy. But we have a rule, which is when we get mad at each other, and specifically when I get mad, that we cannot go to bed at night without saying we love each other and apologizing to each other. And the worst part about this stupid rule is that I'm usually the one that's wrong. So I always have to apologize. But it's really taught me that the thought is that, appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. We might be mad at each other, but we have love. We have two individuals that truly will do everything for each other. And so I take that and I build that up in my enter my motto and my mindset, and I push it out there. I hope that sometimes that can make a difference with certain folks.
Well, I mean, along those lines, then you talked about there was obviously a lot of combat moments that were super impactful. But I thought actually a couple of points in the book that popped out for me. One was when you got to visit an all-girls school, and sort of that was one of your highlights that you shared in sort of the midst of a lot of darkness and tough times. Like what that meant to you to have that opportunity, and how you think about that today.
It was crazy. I'll never forget it. We're in the Pesh right there, and this is one of the girls' schools, and we give them some supplies, and no one had been allowed to go into the school. And one day, I asked one of the elders and said, "Hey, how things going to school?" And he's like, "Well, why don't you come in and check it out?" He said, "But you can only you can come in, and your translator." So my guys are like, "Absolutely not, sir. That's the dumbest thing you can do." And I told him, I said, I think it's a risk worth it. And the reason why I think it's worth it is because we're out here on a mission. Yeah, we're find, fix, and destroy the enemy. But believe it or not, we're actually trying to do some good in their communities, in their regions. And one of them was to support the education of not just the young boys, but the young girls as well. And so I said, "Look, if you hear me scream, just destroy everything." And they're like, "Okay." And they just waited at the door, and I went in, and there was just maybe like 50, 60 little girls. Guess what they were studying? I mean, there's a picture in the book, and it's English in the Pesh. That's ridiculous. I mean, they don't have electricity there in 95% of the whole area. And here you have a bunch of little girls, and you have, and to me, not just the girls, the fact that it's dangerous for the little girls and their families, right? But the teachers. What would they do to those male teachers if, with the Taliban? Found out, but then I'm sure they had to know what was happening. But to me, that was game changing. To me, that is positive impact. You don't see this on TV, and nobody talks about it, right? What are we doing over there? And well, guess what? Maybe we are having an impact for at least a few people. Yeah. And we're trying to make it, we're trying to change lives, and we're trying to bring a change to a mindset and potentially to a culture in a positive way. We're not trying to tell you that your culture is wrong. We're just trying to tell you that it's okay to teach a little girl how to read. Yeah. And give her an opportunity to grow with education in her back pocket, right? Mm-hmm. And that to me, that completely changed my entire mindset. That completely changed the way I saw Afghanistan and really the mission. Mm-hmm. And obviously, what happened after that, though, was really bad, and that broke my heart. But that's war. War. One thing about war, you had those glimpses of just hope and beauty, and war, and that's why war is so ugly and evil. It would just take that and destroy it. And a couple days later, we had a short round. We were attacked by the enemy. And we had a short round, a mortar round, and it landed when the girls were coming out of school and killed 2 little girls that we had just seen. And I had to go identify the bodies and take pictures. And that to me, it was one of those moments you're just like, yeah, you can't win, right? You feel like you can't win. You're trying to do something good, and next thing you know, this happens, an accident. Mm-hmm. But what that elder told us that day it was one of those struggles that I had with humanity, right? When he told me, well, I need you to pay for my dead cow. And he wanted $10,000 for a cow and a couple $100 for both girls. I was like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
But that was the mindset. And you can't judge. I know it's crazy to say. It's a different world. And that's what we're trying to do. Bring in a little bit of our humanity out there. Because they just live with a different set of rules. It's just the way it is. And so you can't judge that mindset. A cow, like I was explaining to my translator, feeds an entire family for weeks. That's a priority.
It's you know, as I think about young military, I mean, you talk about it in the book, and we see this, you know, 18, 19, 20-year-olds out on missions. You as a young junior officer, your responsibility is to connect with the village elders, and you are bridging cultures. Do you get any, you know, do you get handed some books on cultural competence, or is this all learn on the job? Like,
no, that's what Marines, man. That's what they do, right? Yeah. Culture, read books and stuff. Can you guys read? Just kidding. Love you guys. No, I mean, I guess maybe. I didn't. I'm sure they do, so I can't speak for everyone. Yeah. I'm sure some, and I think it's on the leader as well. You know, you understanding your purpose and your job to maybe educate yourself. I should like didn't, and you can't. It was a reality check because I thought I was going to go out there Ranger School style, right? Mm-hmm. Every single day in the mountains, find, fix, destroy the enemy. And next thing you know, I own 7 villages, and they call me Governor Groberg, and I'm a project manager. I'm a politician. I'm a mediator. We would like war on each other, like villages after villages. It's crazy. You're a young lieutenant and young NCOs and young soldiers, and here we are. We're literally like shaping almost like a mini, you know, city, and you have an impact.
Yeah.
And so you run shuras, you do all that stuff, and to me that's game changing.
Yeah.
You learn so much coming out of this place. I was taking bid contracts to rebuild our retaining wall, our front gate after we destroyed it ourselves. Might have came back from a long patrol and my driver fell asleep a little bit and took the gate out. But, you know, we needed to fix it. We're in the Army, come on. We fixed it, and here I am, and I'm taking bids from 3 different contractors and trying to compete, and it's crazy. I learned so much. It was, again, very different experience than I thought I would have, but so grateful I had the opportunity.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay, so there was one part that you talked about a rocket actually ricocheting off the truck, which I thought it was one of those insanity of war moments where it just, you know, you're sure it's over. Yeah,
I was going through Tantil. Yeah, absolutely. We're coming back, and this is one of those areas, and there's certain spots, you know, when you're in your area of operation that just are bad, and the enemy's just got a great vantage point, and they have a great opportunity to ambush you. And so we knew we got hit there quite often. In this specific case, I'll never forget this because Moffett is in a front truck, so we're in vehicles, and we have 4 vehicles, and he's a front truck, and he just goes on the radio. It's like, yeah, looks like the Afghan National Police guy who was in this little tower kept like poking out and looking at the ridgeline. He's looking at us, and you know, and so he's like, yeah, it looks like we're about to get hit. And as soon as he said that, I looked to my right, and I saw this guy maybe 50 meters away just stand up with a rocket propelled grenade and let it go. And he came at me, and I just blacked out. What do you do? It's, you know, you got RPG coming at you, and it's pretty quick. So I've been lucky and blessed my entire life, specifically in combat, but this thing just kind of hit the top of my door, so it missed the window, and it bounced up, and then it detonated in the air. And then obviously I had great guys. I mean, I didn't do anything out there. My soldiers did 100%. I'm completely serious. And Richardson was on the 50 cal and just lit this guy up. And I kind of woke up to people cheering, like, yeah, you know, and I was like, what just happened? And like, oh, you almost died, sir. You're good though.
Yeah.
It's like,
lucky day.
Cool.
Wow.
All right, let's drive on. But that's combat. I would think we all go through those moments, you know, and you hope that you never get hit. I never thought I'd ever get hit.
Yeah.
But that was one of those lucky moments that could have ended, really quick. But that's combat.
Well, let's use that as a bridge to August 8th. You've told the story a number of times, and you talk about how it's it's obviously emotional. So, thank you for sharing it with us. I think you'll be telling this for many years, and to keep your brothers alive and their families, always remembered. But take us back to the day. Tell us the story. It's the, however you tell it.
Right. See, August 2012 was Simple Patrol. At the time, I ran the personal security detail for Colonel Bingus, who was in charge of all of Eastern Afghanistan, RC East. We have 45 different outstations, so little bases that we travel to, and he had a bunch of commanders all around the place. And that day, we were going to the Kunar Province security meeting, so Southern Kunar Province security meeting with Governor Wahidi in Asadabad, Abad. We'd done this at least 6 times. In my previous tour, I actually owned that area of operation. And so I've been there quite a few times. And I was supposed to receive, when we landed at COP Fires, Combat Outpost Fires, so this was a little base next to where we were going for the meeting. So we flew from helicopters from Jalalabad, our base out there, 25-minute flight. And when I landed, I was supposed to receive 12 to 15 soldiers to escort us off COP Fires towards the security meeting. And I had a pretty heavy patrol of leadership at the time, VIPs. I had 2 brigade commanders, 3 battalion commanders, 2 command sergeant majors, an Afghan general, 2 GS-15 State Department folks, and 2 majors at the brigade level. And my team of 6, to include myself. So when I got off this helicopter and I noticed that I didn't have my security escort, I started thinking, this is probably not good. But the boss started walking towards the gate, and he's got a meeting at 10:00, and so I need to adapt. And that's what you do, right? You just you adapt. And so I took Afghan National Army. They were just sitting there. I put them up and said, you're going with us. They're like complaining. I'm like, you're going with us. And I put them up front. And I took my platoon sergeant, my number 2 on my team, and I told him, get behind them, but in front of the boss and everybody else, and I want you to control the pace of the walk. But we got to go to this meeting no matter what. And so then I put all the VIPs in this diamond. We had a diamond formation, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you put the VIPs, and we started walking out. And usually, for 6 months, I was always in the rear of the diamond. I wanted the responsibility in case something happened that I would grab the Colonel Mingus, I would take him to the ground, and I would take him to safety. That was our job, like Secret Service almost. We're not out there designed to fight. We're designed to protect. And the group that's designed to fight is that 12 to 15 escort. So when you don't have your escort to fight, now you're everything. We were lucky enough that Sergeant O'Brien, I used to work for me, and he was walking around the COP. I'm like, you're coming with us. And then we had this, I don't know, I'd love to know who this guy was. I think he was like 60 years old, this just civilian with a flak jacket and a rifle. American, too. And I was like, you're coming with us. He's like, hell yeah, this is awesome. Really? It's like he's been waiting the whole time. Like, someone, like, I'm here, guys. Right? He might have been a cook or whatever he was, but he was there. I'm like, I'll take anybody, and you're coming. And so we put him out there on the right side. And so here we go. We're at 8 and everybody else. And I'll never forget, I asked Command Sergeant Major Griffin, I said, to get into the diamond. And Sergeant Major looks at me, he's like, hell no, Lieutenant. Which, by the way, I'm a little pissed off he called me Lieutenant, because that day I was actually promoted to Captain. That was my first day as a Captain, and when we got back, I was supposed to get my little ceremony, and he knew that, but he still kept calling me Lieutenant. He did it 3 times that day. And so I was like, Sergeant Major, and he's like, no, look, man, we don't have the security, and I'm going to be in the rear. I'm a rifleman. I have a heck of a lot more experience than all of you combined, so I got the rear security. I was really appreciative of that. Really meant a lot to me because I knew we were short. And the movement itself was 1,100 meters. And about 700 meters into the movement, as we're about to go across this bridge, we noticed that 2 motorcycles were coming towards our patrol really fast. Afghan National Army, the point man, actually did a heck of a job. Yeah, he raised his rifle, started screaming Dari, forced the guys on our motorcycles to, to fall. And then they started running, which to me, another funny part about if, you look at funny things in this whole story, there's, this was definitely one of them, is I saw the motorcycles drop and the guys on the motorcycles run, and I saw the front point guy, Afghan National Army, chase him by himself. Nobody went with him. So I just want to know in life, like I hope like I run into this guy and be like, where did you go?
Yeah, right.
Because you're by yourself. It's full sprint. Like these guys are running and he's just and his buddies even follow him, right? I'm like, they're like, see you later, man.
Yeah.
Good luck.
On your own.
But at the same time, this was a diversion. This was on purpose. They were going to dump their bikes. I think they were just waiting to see as close as they could get. But that was whole part of the plan, because that's when that kid came out of a structure to our left. And I saw him. The only reason I saw him is because Sergeant First Class Brink, my platoon sergeant that I put up front, was looking at me like, hey, are you noticing what's happening here? Are you tracking? And then as he was looking at me, he started staring to my left, and that's when I saw that guy. And he was walking backwards parallel to us. He did a 180-degree turn. So now he's going the same direction, and he 90-degree, and he cut in. At that point, I knew this guy's a threat. He was a threat before, but so I remember looking at him, and I wanted to shoot him so bad. Yeah, I just didn't like him. But I knew that I probably, if I was wrong, I'd go to jail, right? I mean, I got all the leaders here. I just murdered someone, okay, because I got scared. No, so it's your own like new type of escalation of force in this case. And when he started cutting towards us, I couldn't see our weapons, so I just started, sprint towards him. So he's going towards us, I'm going towards him. Yelled at him, hit him. I hit him, and I felt that he had something in the chest. At that point, Sergeant Mahoney started coming. So I'm grabbing this guy, and I'm like, I know it's a vest. I look at Mahoney, I'm like, bomb, and now everybody's tracking what's happening, but it's like this.
Yeah, fast.
8 seconds, and so I threw him as far as I could and as quickly as possible, which in hindsight, I was training for the best Ranger competition. So I thought I was in pretty damn good shape. I mean, I was 175 pounds, like cut, not like this anymore, but I thought I was strong, but damn boy went nowhere.
Really?
Like he just fell in front of me. You know what I mean? Like you think you got a guy that's got a bomb, you're gonna throw him a mile away. He landed right in front of me. So I'm over here, I throw him, and Mahoney kind of comes out and finishes him down, and he landed on his chest and he detonated. And I woke up a couple minutes later. I had my foot facing me, my fibula was completely out, and I had blood everywhere, and so I checked myself for internal wounds. Then I did what you see in movies. You check to see if everything's still there. Yeah, blood everywhere, I had to. And I'm telling you, I don't know what you guys do in submarines, but this was a big, in the dirt, it's bad. In case anybody cares, everything was good to go. Which allowed me to actually continue on with living, because I was really making the decision. If things were gone, I was going to lay there and say, take me, God, because I'm done. There's no point. But it worked out. And then my medic saved my life by applying a tourniquet. And that's when I was asking for a status report, that's when they told me that Command Sergeant Major Griffin, Major Gray, Major Kennedy, and Reg Abdel Fattah had been killed. And I never forget that I told them to get me out of that ditch, and then we walked towards them, and they're all laying there. And for all of us that have been in combat, have seen friends being killed, there's just no way to describe it. Between the anger, the pain, the confusion, and you add in the fact that there was a congregation of locals that came in, and one of the men out there was staring at the dead bodies and smiling like it was Christmas. I almost shot him. I was going to shoot him in the head. I didn't care. Probably wouldn't even gone to jail. They would have said that I was still in trauma phase and after all this stuff, and they probably would have slapped me in the hand. But I had O-chart, typical young soldier. I'm telling you, man, these men and women that put on the uniform and serve overseas and serve for our nation, they're special for a specific reason, is they make the best damn decisions when you really don't have time to think. And he grabbed my arm, he put it down, and he said, it ain't worth it, sir. So he saved that guy's life. Potentially my, at the time, career. I guess my career ended anyway. But yeah, and that was the end of my time in Afghanistan and really as an infantryman.
Wow, amazing. Well, I have a ton of other fun questions to ask you, but I'm going to make you all buy the book and read it because we're close to time to have some Q&A.
Okay.
So I want to just ask one last question then for you to just, I thought your description of the day that you went to the White House to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor, just what's going through your mind during that time, and it's quite descriptive in the book about what's going through your mind, your physical body, but just to be standing there where, I mean, I'll see if I get my stats right. I mean, you're the 10th living recipient of the Medal of Honor since the Afghanistan-Iraq Wars, 66th Medal of Honor recipient since the Vietnam War, and first foreign-born Medal of Honor recipient since the Vietnam War as well. I mean, this is a very small group of people, and I know that all plays in, but...
You know, if you would have been wrong by your stats, I wouldn't have corrected you anyway. I would have been like...
That's an Amazonian thing. Someone's checking this now. Just send me email, Kelly SC, tell me what I got right or wrong there. So I'm
It's
good.
kind of funny you say that because I got a letter in a package with Texas versus Johnson, and this guy. Well, I guess I told people at an event that, you know, I thought it was criminal to burn the American flag. I think it's criminal to burn the American flag, and he sent me the entire case in 89, talking about it's not criminal to burn the American flag. And he wrote me this whole letter, and all I wanted to do was just call this guy and be like, what is wrong with you? Like, why did you waste your time to send this package to my work and like to tell me, I get it. Maybe the law has changed. It used to be, by the way. It used to be you could be in prison for 1 year and have a pretty good fine of $5,000, but it changed. But that day, sorry, you got me all like fired up in this thing.
I was just saying, if anyone sends me a mail about my stats, I'm going to forward it to Flo and let him respond.
It was one of those days where you're, you know, obviously your life changed, right? Honestly, a couple weeks later, before that, I was in Area 51 working in a world where you don't tell anyone what you do, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it. So I was set on that path, and now here I am. I went to the White House. There's going to be all the TV news channels, and there's going to be every single leader government-wise going to be in there, and I have my entire unit's going to be there, and I have the Gold Star families of the guys I've lost going to be there. I have my mother and father, but really my mother is going to be there, and for me, to hail me as a hero for the worst day of my life, where technically, in my opinion, to this day, I failed. And so you're going to put me on this, you know, on this stage and have the President of the United States, President Obama, talk about all the great things that happened. Well, not the great things that happened, but the reality of what happened on August 8th and how, you know, this is a great American. So I was ashamed. I was literally ashamed of myself. I was embarrassed, and obviously I was nervous. And it was one of those things where you're so uncomfortable. I don't know of a military person that ever put on a uniform to go out there and get a medal or really be on front of TV cameras and talk about how great they are. I'm sure there's been some in our history, but you know what? They're assholes, so we don't need them. And so here I am, and I felt so weird. But a couple of things really got me through it. And it was just looking into the Gold Star family's eyes and being appreciative at the fact that they were there to support me. I mean, we're celebrating me based on the day that they lost their loved one. Think about that, right? I can't even stand next to a Packers fan. I'm a Bears fan, right? And so here, if you killed one of my brothers, my father, I don't know, I would go, obviously, but it would be tough. And it was tough for them. And I could feel it, I could sense it. But I transfer that into all the love that there is in the world, which is for each other. And I remember looking at them and thinking, you know, this isn't for me. This is not my medal. This is your medal. This represents your father, your husband, your brother, your son. I will do everything that I can in my power for the rest of my life to talk about them and also let everyone know how incredible they were, but really that they represent the best of us. And so I made that choice and that decision in my own head to accept this to the best of my ability because I had a responsibility behind it to earn it and earn it for them. to live my life for them, my 4 brothers and their families. So it was tough. And then you add in my mother, front row. Picture yourself. You're on a stage. TV cameras everywhere. It's hot. President of the United States to your left. Secretary of Defense and everything. And you're sitting there in a position, and your mom's going like this in front of you. And you're looking at her, and you're kind of like, stop it. Like, and she's getting mad at you. Like, I'm like, of course my nose is running right now. You know, it's an emotional moment. So here I am. If you really watch the whole thing, at one point I'm going like this. You know, I'm just as if nobody's going to see it, right? It's just, but it was tough. But tell you what, the response from the Gold Star families to watch Grace kids play rock, paper, scissors with the President of the United States after the ceremony. That's something that no one sees, nobody truly understands, but that power, that moment. And President Obama, his words were unbelievable. Yeah. What he said and the way he highlighted the Gold Star families and my brothers, not only the ones who passed away, but the ones I served with, because this was a team effort. Mahoney was there, Brink was there, Secor was there, Balrama was there, Ochart was there. Everybody played a role for us to save as many lives as we possibly could. But the way he highlighted them and talked about them and really told the world about who our service members are and their families, I thought that was beautiful.
Wow, thank you.
Yep.
So we have a few minutes. If anybody wants to come to a mic and ask a question, we have about 10 minutes.
You gotta have questions.
The questions that you're dying to know, please.
Groberg, it's a huge honor to actually be in this room with you. I watched you on David Letterman. 2 things that I remembered was you said that when you first woke up from recovering from all your wounds, the first person you saw was the lead singer of Korn.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis, my man.
My second question was, do you still have the bracelet?
Yeah, so the bracelet's right here. So this is my second one. I had the bracelet for 2013 to this year, 4 years, and it broke. It split. Creepy thing about that, Colonel Mingus, now Major General Mingus, his brother had a bracelet too, made from that day. And I posted this is fact, you Amazon tech people, you can go out there and check it. His name's Sean Mingus. The day I posted my, someone's really gonna do it now too. The day I posted, it's gonna be like 2 days late, sorry, liar. The day I posted my picture, because it split, that morning he had posted a picture of his that split in the same spot. It was weird. I don't know what that means, probably nothing, but that was creepy. And Jonathan Davis was probably creepier, You put yourself in a hospital bed full of Dilaudid and you wake up in launch stool. I mean, your world was rocked, literally. And you wake up and there's Jonathan Davis. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the heck? Are you the dude from Korn? He's like, yeah, man. We're here to support you guys. I was like, why am I hallucinating Jonathan Davis? You think Jessica Alba, you think, and then he was really there, and him and I became friends. So we text all the time. And
really?
I think he's in trouble because he asked me, he's like, hey, do you have any contacts for the USO tour? And I'm going to Afghanistan and Iraq next Wednesday, to see the troops for a week. And I know we were looking for the time for talent to go out there, musicians. So I was like, oh, yes, Jonathan, I do. What are you doing for Christmas, my friend?
Wow. Is that who's going with you?
No, he's not going. I guess we're supposed to keep it a secret.
Oh, okay.
So
we keep secrets too. Maybe I'll tell you something if you tell me something. HQ2 was the backstage question. No, I don't know either. Okay, and I did download. So I am part of the gray-haired contingent, but try to stay young. So I went out after I read the book and pulled up Korn on my Amazon Music.
Freak on a Leash.
Dude, downloaded Freak on a Leash, and
it's awesome.
When Greg walked in, I was kind of getting in the mindset. I had it on while I was sort of making sure I was in the zone for today, just in your honor.
Yeah, it's funny. I did this. I'm not sure if you guys, whoever deployed. I'm looking at them because I know for a fact they deployed. And as some of you here, and I used to blast out music before patrol when I knew we're about to get in some fun stuff. I usually, Disturbed and I know, right, weird stuff, and then Backstreet Boys, this kid. No. And one time my mom called me and I had these Afghan cell phones, Nokias, little, And I was talking to my mom, and I called her. I was like, hey, haven't talked to you in 2 weeks. I'm alive. She's like, great, love you, blah, blah. Someone comes into my room, and they're like, hey, sir, we got to go. QRF, someone, so-and-so got hit, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, hey, mom, got to go. I'm going to do a workout, love you. And I thought I hung up the phone. And here I am, like, blasting out music and cursing and, like, getting myself all fired up. Ah! While this guy's, like, telling me what we're about to do. And I didn't talk to her for 3 weeks after that. She was not happy. She's like, first of all, you need to learn how to hang up a phone. Second of all, what kind of music you're listening to. Third of all, your language flow. I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm in war. But sorry.
Any other questions? Because otherwise, I'm going to queue up another. You're going to have to, anything else that you're dying to know? Please.
I always make you tell the story.
He's so strong and big. Look at him. He's just.
That's why I got up and walked over.
Yeah, Marine.
Hey, I was wondering if you could share with everybody, you talked a little bit about the waiting before you got the medal, learning that you got the medal, and that you and Carson were kind of just hanging out, and you knew maybe a phone call was coming, and what you did after you got that phone call. You remember? You share that story, dude?
First of all, absolutely. First of all, like I said, we were by Area 51. I love saying that because I was always fascinated by Area 51, and I got there, and it's completely like super like there's nothing there. Anyway, I expected as soon as I walked there that I would see aliens. Like I'm dumb, right? And it's just I was like aliens, nothing. Okay, just Nevada. But anyway, and I had no cell phone reception all week, and we're in this little area and doing some operations training. It's fun. And it's a Wednesday, my phone rings. My cell phone, personal cell phone. I'm like, what the heck? 00000. I'm like, hey, I pick it up. It's like, hi, is this Captain Groberg? I'm like, well, I'm a civilian now, but yes. He's like, oh, this is Colonel Slee with Pentagon. Just calling you to let you know that you're going to be receiving a phone call from a senior high-ranking official on September 21st. On Monday, September 21st, between the hours of 1400 and 1430. Is this a good phone number to call you on, and will you be able to answer? I'm like, yes. He's like, good, don't miss this phone call. He hung up. And then dead. I was like, there's no way. Conspiracies and all that stuff, I'm all about them now. But, so I'm thinking about this. It's really hard to comprehend what just happened, and I'm going up to my boss. My boss is a military guy at the time, and we talk about it, and he's like, well, what'd you do? I was like, I don't know. He's like, it could be good. They put you in for the Distinguished Service Cross, so maybe it is a Distinguished Service Cross. And he's like, or maybe you did something really stupid in Afghanistan and you're about to go to jail.
Keep him humble.
Yeah. And he's like, well, just take half day on Monday and let me know what happens. So I'm like, I don't even know, should I lawyer up or what? Like who should I? But anyway, I took half day off, and Carson stayed home and from work, and we waited there, and we were watching Ellen.
I love Ellen.
And we get past the time we're supposed to get the call, we get the call. And it's, I'm like, oh, okay, 000 again. I'm like, oh, this is creepy. I answer it, and the lady's like, hi, is this Captain Florent Groberg? Yeah, she's like, God, this is so-and-so from the White House. I was like, oh, man, okay. And so then it's the president. We chat for a while, and I'd met him a few times. Incredible conversation. Gave me an order, which I immediately broke. He told me not to tell anyone about this, and I immediately told my mom. Because if I didn't tell my mom, she would have killed me. I wouldn't have ever made it to the ceremony. So I figured it worked out. But I remember as soon as we hung up the phone, and Carson has she videotaped it, and she's like, wow, our life has just changed. I was like, yeah. And so then we sat back on the couch. She unmuted Ellen. And I went back to writing my college paper. I was in grad school and I wrote a paper, and that was it. Called my mom after that, and life changed forever. But yeah, you have another question?
Hey, Flo, how's it going?
What's up?
So my question is, how are you enjoying life outside of the Army and the military?
Great question. Thank you for that question. I am loving it. I wish I could go back and talk to myself when I was in the hospital, early on specifically, when I was thinking about that transition piece. And you're really lost. what's my passion? What am I going to do now? I was an infantryman. I had my 2 5, 10-year plans in the military. Now I got to be a civilian. I don't even know what to do, what to like. And through mentors and support system, really good VSOs out there that took the time to help me and mentor me and guide me, I ended up in the government. Obviously, that was short-lived with a medal. And with a medal after that, I had to do another transition. And so I was kind of on my own for a while. And that's when I met, Greg called me and we started working together with LinkedIn. We just went out there and, on a mission to make a difference for our veteran community. And that's when I found that passion. I was like, oh man, this is amazing. It's like a completely new battlefield. In this case, you don't have bad guys trying to kill you. You have actually people that are trying to help you accomplish your mission. But it's people don't always know how to go about it. And it's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of efforts and keeping pushing the needle. And he ended up going to Amazon at almost the same time. It's kind of funny how this happened, right? We're just like, I was talking to him about this. I was like, man, I had an unbelievable opportunity with Boeing. I got offered an opportunity with Boeing Company. I don't know what to do because I had another offer from another organization at the time too. And he said, he's like, well, what's the role? I said, this is the role. He's like, what are they paying you? I'm like, this is what they pay me. He's like, take it. I was like, it's not about money. He's like, I know, bro. And we talked about the mission. And so, I got some of my Boeing teammates here, actually my peer, and we got Sam here, and we got Gina here. And what we did is I came into an organization, and I know, and that's what hopefully you guys can talk about a little bit about what you're doing too. But we came in and we realized that we have to focus on how we can support the veteran community. We got 20,000 of our employees in the company are veterans, right? Our ethos is military and supporting our service members and their spouses. And so I got to take my passion and I brought it to one of the oldest companies in the world, one of the best companies in the world, #1 aerospace company in the world. I know you guys are Amazon, you consider the best company in the world. I still, my Boeing. Mm-hmm. All right.
And we're a great customer.
That's 5. All right, keep getting those airplanes.
We're going to try to get them. Anybody here from Amazon Air, we want to get Flo into one of our birds in the next 2 hours.
He's telling me this.
Just to pay a visit.
Yeah, keep buying them. Okay, leasing them. What are you doing? You guys are doing. We love that. And I went out there and I got to, take our focus and just blow it up in my own little world with the Boeing Company. And so now we're partnering up some great VSOs. We're out there making sure that we support workforce transitional programs, but we also support as veterans and their families who are coming back with some of those injuries, moral and physical injuries. Suicide is a big deal. 20 veterans take their lives every single day. We got to make a difference. We got to go out there and be advocates, and we got to tell the story. We got to take the stigma and throw it out, and we got to let people know that, hey, it's okay to think this way. We've been through it. Many of us have been through it, but this is how we got out, and we're here to support you. You being on this earth is a bonus to everyone else. And we got to hire them too, right? You guys are doing a heck of a job. Was it 25,000 you've committed?
Right.
We're part of we were part of the joining forces piece with the White House as well. Over 15% of our workforce is veterans, and we're going to keep hiring them. That's what we do. So I love the synergy that we have here, and I know all the great work that you guys are all doing as well. So it's been my passion. How's life? It's great. I'm on a mission again, and it's really, really good when you wake up every single day with a purpose.
We were actually in OCS together 9 years ago, so yeah, it's a small world. Yeah, appreciate everything.
You got him. You see smart people, think alike.
That's a moment.
Yeah. Thank you again.
All right. So, in the military tradition, I want to thank you on behalf of the Amazon Warrior community for being here, brother.
Appreciate
sharing your story. Cool. Very impactful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Amazon. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the work you're doing.
And if, yeah, please. Flo's agreed to stick around if you want to come up and say hi, take a picture. If you have books that you want him to sign, we'll hang out for a little bit here this afternoon. But thank you. It was a real honor.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right.